This is Globalization News, and this is Xavier and I'm Pierce Tui. Recently in Kenya, a human rights activist named Agri Otinyo, he's a graduate from Ohio University. He was brought there on a grant. He came back to the slum he grew up in Kenya. The name of the slum is Karagocha, and this slum has been in the news a lot because of HIV and AIDS that has gone rampant there. It's been in the news for a lot of bad things such as prostitution, drug usage. So after Agri got his master's degree at Ohio University, he came back and thought he should contribute something to his slums because he was the most educated person. Agri Otinyo thought he could give back to this community by setting up educational workshops for healthcare. Things are taught in these, such as breastfeeding and other common health practices. He has also set up telemedicine centers, which are numbers you can text on your cell phone, and a medical person will text back and help with things such as childbirth or any other medical emergencies, and in some cases vans can be sent over to pick these people up. I thought what Agri is doing in Kenya is very helpful, especially because it's a developing country and a lot of the people do not have cell phones. Companies like Nokia recently have been in the news because they're making really cheaply made phones that they're selling for cheap in Africa, and one of them, it's an easy way to connect people in Africa and connect people in developing countries because the communication is just not there in areas that cannot be reached. So now that there's these medical features, medical numbers you can text, I think this would be very beneficial for a lot of other African countries all over, and this could help out in the future. So over to Xavier with his news.
So on another note, for Qatar World Cup 2022, rights activists have been warning about worker mistreatment and abuse, coming to even call it Qatar a slave state. Hassan al-Thawadi, Secretary General of Qatar 2022 Supreme Committee, has been appalled by his comments. Sharon Burrow, who's the Secretary General of the International Trade Union, was the one who had made the comments, and she claims that up to 4,000 migrant workers could die if these trends continue by the time the construction is done for the World Cup stadiums and the city they plan to build, and etc. A report by British tabloid The Guardian claims that workers are forced to live in filth, work in extreme heat without enough water for long hours, and come back home to cook in unhygienic conditions. They live in 8 to 10, 12 men per room, and rights groups have warned that these workers live in miserable conditions. It's a terrible thing. Over 9 weeks, in summer, over 9 weeks, 44 workers died, according to The Guardian, most due to heart attacks, cardiac arrest. Some laborers told the newspapers they were abused, denied wages, and even denied drinking water. In Qatar, visa or work visa is different. To leave the country, they need their employer's consent. So without the consent of the company they work for, they can't move to another company or they can't go back home. So they're basically trapped in this circumstance. Al-Thawadi has denied these claims. He defends his country in that he claims that anywhere in the world this workers are in these circumstances is discussed. He vehemently defends his country and claims that any of these claims are being investigated by the government and government authorities. Out of the bulk of these workers who are from Nepal and India, about 250 workers died in the past year. Up to September of this year, about 160 have passed away. And half of those workers have been a result, or they claim to have been a result of natural causes. Natural causes being heart attacks, cardiac arrest, to which the other half are work-related injuries to which the workers themselves are liable for. This is something that is unheard of, and to call it a slave state in times like this, the 21st century, is an outrageous accusation. And let's just hope things get better.
You know, things like this shouldn't go unnoticed, especially in a country that's trying to put on a global event for the World Cup, and every other country will be there being represented. So things like this can happen.
That's supposed to be a big thing. Yeah. It's supposed to be claimed a new stadium. They're even planning on building a new city.
Well, very interesting stuff. All right, thank you.
For this edition of Global News, I would like to talk to you about an article from the Washington Post entitled "On Faith: Conservative Catholic Questions the Pope." Since elected to the helm of the Catholic Church, Pope Francis has taken a much lighter view at global issues that are faced from a global perspective in the Catholic Church. These perspectives are very different from what the Catholic Church once knew and upheld on a very global standpoint, because they were taught to believe these certain activities were sins. Pope Francis, on the other hand, his tactics of not judging things such as gay marriage in the Catholic Church, abortions, gay priests, and having women in what were once all men ceremonies at the Vatican and Rome, are issues that have caused the traditionalists to become skeptical when told in an interview from Pope Francis not to hold this against people and not to impose doctrines for something that really wasn't always as bad as it seems. In conclusion, given all the stuff on the news on an extremely regular basis in regards to the Catholic Church, with the induction of Pope Francis to lead the helm of the Catholic Church, it seems to me that he's really trying to make some seemingly meaningful changes to the Catholic Church that have been called for some time on a global standpoint. And what have you found as far as global news, Ness?
Well, today I wanted to talk about an article called "Banksy Sells Original Spray Paint Art for $60 Near Central Park." It's pretty much about Banksy, who's a British artist who never reveals his identity or shows his face. He pretty much hired an old man to have a stand by Central Park and just sell his art pieces, which were just spray painted on canvases. And the old man sold about 8 pieces of art that day, all day. So the old man at the stand, he was there all day, and he sold 8 pieces all day, which cost $60 each. He made a total of $480 all day, and each piece is originally like 22,000 pounds, which is close to $34,000. So whoever bought one of those paintings were very excited about that. I'll talk about what two of the paintings represent. One of them is a painting of a protester whose Molotov cocktail morphs into a bouquet representing street fighting. And another one is of a little girl holding a red balloon with a sign stating "There is always hope." This could reflect to the child reclaiming her lost innocence, her lost childhood, or a lost love. And by releasing the balloon, she's asking the world to accept those things as her innocent gift. Banksy is inspired by the events going on around the world, and he interprets them into his own pieces, leaving them open for the viewer's imagination. Many people who didn't know who he was know him now, so this pop-up art stand was definitely great, and it gave Banksy a lot of publicity from all around the globe. Thank you.
Here for our last segment of Global News is Kevin with the latest breaking story. Kevin, take it away.
Thank you, sir. Well, in recent global news, the Russian government placed a ban on gay athletes being denied the right to participate in the 2014 Winter Olympics because of their sexual orientation. This has caused much controversy on a global scale because an event such as the Olympics is a sporting event on the international global stage. Thank you.
And that wraps our edition of Global News. Thank you so much, and tune in next time.